A typical Canadian winter can be equated to calf training. Their stubbornness and unequaled endurance forced me to realize decades ago, calf training for the natural guy often needs to be harsh to be effective. This type of training can be a cruel mistress. Training discomfort in and out of the gym often leaves most lifters unsure of whether they want to pursue their efforts. Less than 3% of gym users will ever experience what this type of training feels like. But anything that takes a lot of effort always increases its cosmetic value. Calf training starts the same here as any other. If you don't get a fire going every morning in the winter months and keep it stoked, the gym temperature simply doesn't get above freezing. The calves are a high-density muscle group, making them tough to respond to some training methods. Stubborn muscle will often only respond to an old-school training method. Forcing the calves out of their comfort zone is the turning point in making the calves respond. Intensity with repetitive persistence will knock any stubborn muscle down to size.
Most of the training equipment is going to be plate weight based. Well, as a matter of fact, it's all going to be. So as a result, we're going to be moving around lots of plates to give you an idea of what goes on in the old school as far as calf training goes. On any given calf training day, I'll typically move probably 2,000, maybe 3,000 pounds of steel plate weight around on the various machines, originally loading them up and then of course unloading and reloading between drop sets and regular sets. So it doesn't take long for it to add up, keeps you busy. As a natural bodybuilder, if you follow 5 main rules for building big calves, you can't go wrong. Rule number 1, focus first on trying to build toe and arch strength in the foot first. The standing calf raise machine, hands down, one of the best calf building power and mass builders that there is for the calves. This machine probably is to calf training what the squat is to upper thigh development. It's plate weight based, so it's a very simple design. I know most commercial gyms have a pin and cable system, which is great. Anyways, it works really great. The nice thing about this is you get under the push pads and it's actually lining up the energy from the shoulders right through the hips down to the heels and the toes. So there's a couple of great things about using this. One is you can tend to use a little bit more weight. For the natural guy, it has to be a full range of motion. Then start increasing the weight. But if you're not going through that full range of motion and working specifically really hard at developing toe and arch strength, which is the driving force behind building any big calves, it's just not going to happen. So this is a great exercise. Keep it in mind. Keep it at the front of your workouts when you're fresh. you extend the fullest range of motion when you're training the calves. As you lower into each repetition, be sure that you fully extend, stretching the calves and the soleus as much as you possibly can, while driving upwards to a full contraction at the top. This is what builds big calves, is extending that range of motion as much as you can. This old angled leg sled was built some time ago, probably back in the early Triassic by myself. It's a great machine. Of course, it's just a simple angled leg sled that you can use pushing off your toes instead of your feet, as opposed to doing leg presses. Leg sled calf raises are a great secondary exercise to the standing calf raise. Again, because the resistance is placed on the hips, this allows so much control and the ability for you to be able to focus on every single movement throughout each repetition. Whereas the standing calf raise is different. It puts a lot of force on the spinal column and the legs. Rule number 3, make sure that you always vary and alter your toe position with heels together, heels apart, toes together, and also straight on. This old hack machine has been outfitted with a push pad for training calves. But it doesn't matter if you don't have one, don't worry about it. You can also just use the angled leg sled. With this particular exercise, again, it's hip based. You're not going to need as much weight because you're also pushing your own body weight. The great thing about using hip-based machines is they allow you solely to focus on toe position and movement. So keeping the toes together obviously is going to work the outside or medial head of the upper gastros. Pulling the feet apart, the heels together and the toes apart is going to work the lateral side or the inside head of the gastros. It's a great machine for building power, strength, and calf size. Keep that in mind. Keep the resistance up there into the 8 to 10 repetitions while you're stripping down, maybe only getting 5 to 6. Rule number 4, try to incorporate drop sets in all calf training exercises. The drop set ultimately is unequal in its intensity, simply because there's two things going on at the same time. First off, it's keeping the intensity up there and the value of it. The second is it keeps the pump initialized. It keeps keeps it strong and firm, which the calf muscles need because they're used to being walked on all day long. Using the drop set method is unequaled with any other calf training method. Because the resistance is supported by the knees on the calf raise machine, it does give a little bit of a mechanical disadvantage as opposed to some of the other machines that you may use in the gym. Even though there is a strong mechanical disadvantage, the other side of that coin is it forces the calves to work really hard unilaterally. So, ultimately, it provides a great shaping movement and exercise for the calves, unequaled on any other machine. Try not to focus on the resistance. Focus on what's working. Try to feel the movement. Anyways, the seated calf raise is a great classic machine. Bring to it what you can. Rule number 5, possibly the most overlooked and neglected part of calf training is stretching and flexing the calves between each exercise set. Approach every calf training workout the same. Have a purpose, be persistent, and train like you mean it. And you will build a set of big, powerful calves.
On an average Canadian winter, I will light and stoke between 200 and 300 fires. Now all you have to do is light one under you.